Hi everyone, I'm Katie Schuler, and today I'm going to show you how to create a cloud server and set up a domain name that then points back to that cloud server. I'm following the instructions for XBuilder Deployer, so if you found this video through that, you're in the right place. It may also be helpful to you if you are not installing XBuilder Deployer after this step. Okay, so I'm going to get a cloud server on DigitalOcean. I love DigitalOcean. It's a cloud computing service provider. I just find that it's very simple. So here's my dashboard, for example, where I can see all of my droplets, cloud servers. Here's my database. I have some other things, and my domains. When I was first getting started, I had a single droplet on this list. So it was very easy for me to get started, and then it was also easy for me to grow as my skills changed, as my needs changed. So highly recommended. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you with DigitalOcean before you get a cloud server is how easy it is to destroy servers. So here's xbuilder.org. This is the cloud server that I'm wanting to create for today. But let's say that I try to follow these instructions to set this server up, but I mess up. It's not working. I'm not getting the same thing that I'm seeing on the instructions list. What do I do? Well, on DigitalOcean, you can click this little hamburger button and click the destroy button. So you want to be careful because you don't want to destroy something you actually need. But if you double check, here's xbuilder.org. This is the one I just created. So I want to destroy this. I'm going to hit destroy and then confirm. And then it goes away. So when I was first starting out, this ability was really freeing because you can just mess up the whole computer. You can make everything broken and then hit the destroy button and try again. So I would highly encourage you to do this. Setting up servers for the first time can feel a little bit tricky. It's new to you. You're probably going to make a couple of mistakes. Don't worry about it. Just keep trying. So try it out. Test to see if it works. If it doesn't work, destroy it and start again until you get it right. Okay, so let's do that. We'll start again, and we're going to go create and droplet. DigitalOcean calls its virtual machines, its cloud servers, droplets. So when we choose an image, we're actually going to go over here to the marketplace because we need three things on our server. We need Docker, Docker Compose, and Git. And the DigitalOcean Marketplace actually has an image that has those things, this Docker image right here. So you're going to click on that one. It's under the Marketplace tab. Then we're going to choose a plan. So I'd highly recommend switching this to the regular Intel and clicking the $5 a month button. This is the smallest, most inexpensive server that DigitalOcean makes, and you probably won't need much more than that. So I've used the $5 server for a really long time, running all the experiments in my lab, and I've never even come close to using all the resources on the server. If you're running a lot of subjects or you end up with a lot of XBuilder projects on your server, you may need to increase a little bit, but you also might be fine with the smallest one, and DigitalOcean makes it easy to scale up if you need to. So I would start with the most inexpensive. You don't need to add block storage. You can choose a data center region that's nearest to you. I'm in Philly, so I'm going to pick New York 3. I could have also picked New York 1. There's really no difference. We can leave the VPC network as the default. We don't need any additional options. When we get down here to authentication, if you have SSH keys, you can choose that. If you don't, then you can just pick the password option. I'm going to choose the SSH key. And then we'll go down here to finalize and create. So we only need one droplet. That's how many cloud servers do we need? Just one. And then I'm going to choose a host name. I'm going to end up getting a domain name for this. So I'm going to use the domain name as the name of the server. I really like doing this because it just creates less to remember. So when I'm going back into my server list, and I'm looking for the server that's connected to this domain name, it's just the server that's called the domain name, so it makes it much easier. Okay, we don't need any tags. I only have the one project. That's what you saw earlier with my list of all my things. You can add a backup if you want. It's an extra $1 a month, but you don't have to. So you may wish to back up if you want to back up your server, but the way that XBuilder Deployer and XBuilder work is that you actually are using a container system, and all of your files are going to be in a Git repository anyway. So you're never going to lose any files if you lose the server. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's hit create droplet. And now the droplet is going to spin up. So this little progress bar is telling us how much done it is. This takes a little bit of time sometimes. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's slower. So while we're waiting for that, we can sort of scroll down and see what's going on here. Here's where all of my domains are. I bought them from a domain name service, a domain name provider that I'm going to show you in a minute, but then I transferred their ownership over to DigitalOcean so I could just manage everything all in this one place. I have some spaces. That's DigitalOcean's word for S3 buckets. I actually don't use them very much, and I don't think I really need them anymore now that I use the XBuilder deployer way of doing things. But if I were pushing like participant audio or something, I may want to use this. My database cluster, this is my managed database. It's a Postgres database. I actually push all of my lab data to this database. And XBuilder's instructions, there's some advanced moves that show you how to do this if you're interested. So that was all just to sort of kill some time while the server was spinning up. Okay, so here we are. We have our xbuilder.org server. It has a name that's memorable for us. Here's its IP address. It has a little Docker icon. This is telling you that we did install Docker on the server. And it's actually telling us that we use the Docker image. So if you are setting up an existing server and you're going through the instructions that DigitalOcean provides to install Docker through the command line, you won't see this little Docker button, but that doesn't mean it's not installed. So the first thing we want to do is check if our server indeed has the three things that we need to run XBuilder deployer: Docker, Docker Compose, and Git. So if we go over here, this is just a terminal, a command line. We can SSH into the server with SSH and then root. That's the user you want to log in at, and then I'm just pasting in the IP address of the server here. So I'll click enter. It's going to ask me, because this is the first time I'm logging in, do you really want to do this? I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to log in, entering my passphrase for my SSH key. And now I'm inside the server. So you can see a bunch of details. It's saying, welcome to DigitalOcean's one-click Docker droplet. That's what we installed. So it should be working. But let's just double check. So I'm going to type clear. That's going to clear all these messages and make it a little neater. And then we can do our usual command line things. We can do pwd to print the working directory. We're in the root directory. ls, we can list what's in there. And cd, we can change the directory. We don't need to do that yet. So if we want to check whether we have Docker, we can just do docker v. That's going to print Docker's version. And if we didn't have Docker, nothing would happen, or it would say no Docker is installed. But it is. We have Docker version 19.03, so hooray! Okay, then we want to check that we have Docker Compose. And we do. Yay, 2 of 3. And then we can check Git, and Git v won't work. Git actually has another command that asks for its version, git -- version. And we have Git. So all three things we need are all set up. Hooray! Okay, so now that we've done that, we have a server set up, we have it at an IP address, and we have the 3 required things that we need to run XBuilder deployer. We can get a domain name for our server. So I'm using Namecheap, and I like to use DigitalOcean and Namecheap. I've just always used them, so they're very familiar to me. It are things I can help troubleshoot if you use the same. I also started using them because they're offered as part of the GitHub Student Developer Pack, so you can get a free year of a domain name at Namecheap, and you can get $100 credit for DigitalOcean. So it's a way to basically spend a whole year doing this without having to pay anything yet. Okay, so register a domain name to start. So I already own xbuilder.org. Let's search for it. I'm just going to show you what that looks like when one is already owned. So it's telling me that this is already taken and registered. You'd have to make an offer to the person who owns it if you want to buy it. But there are other versions of XBuilder with different namespaces available. But let's see what it looks like when we choose another. I'm going to do hello happy people. I don't expect this to be available, but we'll just try. Oh, it is. Okay, well, we'll go with that. Hello happy people. Okay, so we will purchase this domain name. I'm just going to hit the cart. Okay, so we've added one item. My computer sounds like it's going into space. I don't know what's going on. We'll just do checkout and see if we can get past this quicker. Great. Okay, so we are in the cart. It's asking us a bunch of questions. So I recommend just choosing anything that's free. So usually, just like any other advertising, they're going to give you a bunch of options. You're not going to really know what they are. If they cost money, say no. If they're free, say yes. That's what I usually do. Okay, so domain registration, we can choose however long. It's going to cost more money if we choose more years. So we can register the domain. We can hit auto renew if we want to. That just means it's going to automatically charge your credit card when a year is up. If this is a domain that's really important to you, I would do that so that you're automatically reminded and it automatically hits. If you aren't sure, you can just wait. They'll email you and say it's going to expire, so you're going to have a chance. It's not going to expire and someone else will take it right away. Okay, so then there's a bunch of other things, improve your site, SSL, whatever. We're actually going to do our own SSL cert, so we don't need to worry about that. And the rest of the things we don't need to worry about. So like I said, these are all sorts of ways of advertising and getting you to spend more money that may be helpful to you in other contexts, but for XBuilder, Deployer, you don't need any of these. So I'm going to hit confirm order. Okay, and then it's asking me to log in. You can create an account if you didn't already have one. And then checkout. So I'll probably block out this part if it logs me into PayPal. But you just log into PayPal or enter your credit card or whatever to pay for this domain. If you're using the free GitHub deployer, you can, or the free GitHub student developer pack, this will be free to you. Okay, so we have purchased this domain name. So one way to check is to use the whois command. We probably don't have whois on our server, so we're not going to do that just yet. Now it says, now is a good time to set up the DNS for your domain. Cool, that is exactly what we want to do next. So we'll go to the DNS. Oops, so they're showing us a video. That could be helpful, but we actually know exactly what we need to do to get our DNS over to DigitalOcean, so I'm going to show you that next. So what we're going to do now, we've purchased the domain, we own it now, but now we want to manage it. So what I actually want to end up with is the domain over here in my list of @xbuilder.com. My domain over here in DigitalOcean, so I can manage everything that way. So remember before I said you should name your server whatever domain is going to wind up at, and I just purchased a different domain name because I already own XBuilder. I just wanted to demonstrate for you how it would work, so let me just keep following through with that. Okay, so now we want to see our domain, so I'm going to go over here. My account, and in my account I'll have a dashboard. So it's going to tell me a bunch of stuff, and here's all the domains I own. So I just purchased this one, Hello Happy People, and I'm going to click on Manage. And now there's only one step we need to take right on this main page. There's something called name servers. So right now we have Namecheap name servers. What we actually want to do is a custom DNS. So that means that we want custom name servers, and we just want to set it to DigitalOcean's. So DigitalOcean has 3. These are listed on the deployment page of XBuilder. The 3 are NS nameserver 1, DigitalOcean.com, ns2.digitalocean.com, and ns3. Okay, I'm just going to do that. So I want to show you what we're doing here is a bunch of things that we have to do and tell the computer to do. And computers are like really annoying middle school kids who are like, you have to say it exactly right, or they'll be like, well, you said do this. So you have to type it in exactly right. And every time you're entering commands, there's potential for you to enter the wrong command. So right here, I spelled this name server wrong. If I do that, it's not going to work. So this is a potential place where I could mess up. So one strategy is to just wait. Before you move on to the next step, just wait to double check that everything is working. So I'm going to fix this and click check save. Okay, great. Now it's giving me a friendly warning that the server update might take up to 48 hours to take effect. That's not going to happen this time because it's the first time we're ever setting it up. It probably will be faster than that, but just be aware that it could take a little time. Okay, so now let's come over here to DigitalOcean again, and we'll go down to domains. What we actually want to do is click on networking in the sidebar. That's going to give us an option to add domains. So here's all my domains, and it's saying I can enter a domain that I own, and I now own hellohappypeople.com. And then it's asking me which project, and again, I've only ever had one project. I find it easiest to have everything just on the one page in the one project. I'm going to hit add domain. Okay, so Hello Happy People was added to my Catherine Schuler project. Great. So now I'm inside this domain. So what I'm going to do is just go back to my main page, my project, Catherine Schuler, and we can see that Hello Happy People is now and we can see that Hello Happy People is now in our domain list. Okay, great. So that's all set up. Let's click on it. Okay, so we have it as directing to DigitalOcean's name servers, which is exactly right. We already set that up over in our actual domain. Great, everything seems to be working fine. So now what we want to do is direct this domain name to our server so it's accessible. So right now, here's our server's IP address. If we go to networking, okay, we go to our main page project so we can see our list of domains. We'll click on Hello Happy People, and then we're going to enter 2 host name A records. So A records are a way of pointing to the IP address. So it's saying if somebody comes to hellohappypeople.com, can you please send them to our server's IP address? So we're going to do 2 things. We're going to do the @ symbol. That means if someone goes to hellohappypeople.com, it should redirect to our server. And so I'm going to pick the XBuilder server, and we'll create the record. Now remember, I named that server xbuilder.org. I was trying to demonstrate that you should name it the same as its domain, which was going to be xbuilder.org. But I then purchased Hello Happy People because I had already owned XBuilder and I wanted to show you what it looked like. So the name of the server is anything I gave it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything except to help me remember what the server is supposed to go to. Okay, so I created that one A record, and that's great. Now I want to do a second one where I just put a star. Now I get star hellohappypeople.com. The star is a wildcard. That means anytime anyone goes to any subdomain like email.hellohappypeople.com, docs.hellohappypeople.com, experiments.hellohappypeople.com, any subdomain that we put in front of Hello Happy People, please also redirect them to our server. And then we'll create the record. Great. So anytime anybody goes to our domain, hellohappypeople.com, they'll get directed to our server's IP address. Anytime they go to any subdomain of hellohappypeople.com, they'll also get redirected to our server. Perfect. Okay, so we are all set up.